It's another week here on Energy Frontiers. I am Justina Okechukwu, and we appreciate the support of the African Energy Chamber for the show. Hello and welcome, and let's get started with some energy news from here in Africa and around the world. A GFC-listed energy and chemical group, Sasol, has published its latest annual results, which showed earnings of 9.3 billion rand and an additional impairment of 27.2 billion rand in its Secunda coal-to-liquids refinery unit for the company's financial year ended June 2023. Namibian state-owned oil firm NAMCOR says the southern African country has an estimated oil reserve of 11 billion barrels, with the first production planned within 4 years. Total Energy's Venus IX well holds around 5.1 billion barrels of oil, while Shell's Graph 1X and Jonker 1X holds 2.38 billion and 2.5 billion barrels of oil each. New York-listed Technip FMC says it has been awarded a contract worth up to $250 million for the installation work on Total Energy's producing Girassol field in Block 17 located off the coast of Angola. Egyptian exploration and production company Chevron has announced a new oil discovery in the southern Gulf of Suez offshore Egypt following the drilling of GNN-11 exploration well. According to Chevron, the new well and the successful drilling campaign on the field has pushed the gross oil production from the concession to 23,000 barrels of oil per day. The National Oil Corporation of Libya announced that its net revenues from the sale of petroleum products such as crude oil, gas, condensates, and petrochemicals rose above $5 billion in the second quarter of 2023. The UAE-based renewable energy group Masdar has signed a roadmap with Ethiopia to deliver up to 500 megawatt solar projects in the East African country as part of an ATAD-7 invitation program. A new study by the International Monetary Fund shows that governments around the world spent a total of $7 trillion on fossil fuel subsidies in 2022 in order to support consumers and businesses amid a global surge in energy prices. The IMF also estimates that phasing out fossil fuel subsidies could raise government revenue by $4.4 trillion and put emissions on track towards reaching global warming targets. UK-based consultancy group Westwood Global Energy has predicted that Nigeria will fall short of its target to ramp up oil production by 2.6 million barrels per day by 2027 if planned projects do not progress on schedule. On the flip side, the firm says it sees Nigeria's oil production output at 1.9 million barrels per day by the year 2030. Finally, the Southern African Development Community, or SADC, comprising of 16 member states, has approved a groundbreaking $17 billion natural gas infrastructure plan, which is aimed at boosting energy resources. The project has a 15-year plan to come on stream. And that was a snapshot of your energy news headlines. When we return, the BRICS group of major emerging economies concluded their 3-day meeting in Johannesburg in the week just ended. More on this in a moment. This is Energy Frontiers. Member countries of 5 emerging economies known as BRICS met during the week in Johannesburg, South Africa. Leaders of the alliance made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa agreed to work together to promote the development of clean energy technologies, reduce the reliance on fossil fuels, improve energy efficiency, and expand access to electricity in Africa, among other high-level issues during the 3-day summit. We tracked some of those conversations for you.
As nations of the world confront the effects of climate change, we must ensure that the transition to a low-carbon, climate-resilient future is just, it must be fair, and it must be able to take into account the different circumstances that prevail in all countries. In line with this objective, BRICS nations need to advance the interests of the Global South and call for industrialized countries to honor their commitments to support climate actions by developing economic progress. The commitments of support that have been made that have not yet been lived up to needs to be followed through.
Make sure that you strengthen the new to a level of reliability before you dismantle the old. Now, I took that as a very, very important advice that sometimes when we talk, a debate that is polarized, want to rush into what is new and actually collapse with the new, having dismantled the old. So they say, ensure that the new is strong enough, is reliable, you can trust it, then you dismantle the old. I think that's a good advice for us for the transition, because the transition has been described in many ways. Some have described this transition as moving from coal to renewables. Far from facts, it's not factual. It is movement from high carbon emission to low carbon emission. And that low carbon emission and that transition, which is a journey, is going to have diverse pathways. And we must actually use all those pathways to ensure that our transition doesn't collapse us. That's why in our IRP, which is our framework, we've made provision even for coal. We've made provision for nuclear. We've made provision for gas. We've made provision for renewables, solar, wind, hydro, and all these pathways. We think that a combination of them will help us navigate the transition more carefully and in a more reliable way. So the load shedding that we're having, from where I'm seated, I'm going to stop now so that I don't close the debate. The load shedding that we're going through is quite a difficult load shedding. It's a combination of two things from where I'm seated. One was the question of making an assumption that we must just quickly move out of coal without ensuring that the new replaces the capacity that was provided by coal. That's why energy availability factor of individual coal power stations collapsed. It collapsed with your living there, Brian. You left it there and then it collapsed. And people think that no, coal is going to disappear and didn't service power stations. And we are having load shedding. I think what is good about Minister Ramkhupa, he's paying attention to the right issues. One of the issues is an energy availability factor, power station by power station. In that way, we're having an outside chance to actually eliminate load shedding. The second one is that which we never talk about because we only see negative, is the fact that actually we are above 90% access, we have more than 90% access to electricity in the country. If you go to certain regions, I was in Krisani last week, to discover that Krisani is actually have universal access to electricity. There are quite a number of regions like that in South Africa. We're heading for universal access. We're slow in developing generation capacity, and we must address that. And that's where we are, but transition is important. We must appreciate that it should be a transition that talks to the just part, which is justice being done, and not just being done, justice seen to be done. Number two, it must talk to people. People are not numbers. It must talk to communities, because communities may be affected negatively by the transition. We must pay attention to that. If we pay attention to those three, we are going to achieve what we want to achieve. My own view is that if you look in our program, we have an accelerated renewable program. It's very accelerated, it's going very fast. We're not slowing down, but we say other pathways must equally contribute.
Imagine a future where tomorrow's solutions build a world of opportunities for all, and where human potential is truly realized, where every child has an equal chance in life, no matter where they were born. Imagine the potential of a continent built on low-carbon oil and natural gas and abundant renewable energy. Imagine Mozambique, Angola, Nigeria, Uganda, Senegal, Egypt, Namibia, and Algeria being let free to develop their natural resources without pressure from wealthy countries to leave it in the ground. Imagine an Africa where we cut red tape bureaucracy and provide better fiscal terms so we can compete globally for energy investments. African Energy Week is the African Energy Chamber's annual event held at the Cape Town waterfront, uniting African energy leaders, global investors, and executives from across the public and private sector for 4 days of intense dialogue on the future of the African energy industry. Showcasing the latest technologies and innovations to 5,000 plus registered delegates from over 100 countries and international professionals from across the global energy sector. Be part of the future of the energy industry and join the energy movement by becoming an official sponsor, exhibitor, delegate, or partner. African Energy Week.
Finally, the African Export-Import Bank has announced plans to host a deal room at the coming African Energy Week 2023 in Cape Town, South Africa. The deal room will provide African countries and key stakeholders an opportunity to leverage the vast renewable energy potential, attract investment and discussions that will shape the energy sector. In the second quarter outlook of the State of African Energy Report, the African Energy Chamber revealed that transactions in the mergers and acquisitions sector rose above $1.85 billion mark in the first half of 2023. In the meantime, the African Energy Chamber has unveiled the faces of a group of female trailblazers who are leading the way and reshaping the future by making energy poverty history by the year 2030. The 25 under 40 Energy Women Rising Stars puts a spotlight on women who are rewriting the narrative in a traditionally male-dominated industry, according to the AEC. Read more about this in the AEC website at www.aecweek.com. And that's how we wrap up the show for you this week. Thank you everyone for watching. And remember to follow the program on Frontier Africa Reports website, subscribe to our YouTube, and follow us across all our social media handles as indicated on the screen. I am Justina Okechukwu. Bye-bye.